Every September, for a few days, the Indian city of Pune shudders with the deafening roar of over 130 amateur drum ensembles, some with more than 100 players. This is the Ganesh festival, an exuberant celebration of community solidarity, Hindu devotion, artistic creativity, and just plain fun. Located in the western Indian state of Maharashtra, Pune, formerly known as Poona, is a bustling city of some 5 million people. Surrounded by verdant, rain-soaked hills and plains, it's by South Asian standards a fairly prosperous and forward-looking city, a center for business, manufacturing, education, and IT headquarters. Although congested and noisy, it's a much more manageable place than the sprawling, chaotic megalopolis of Mumbai, some 3 hours away by car. In contrast to that polyglot city, Pune is also more thoroughly Maharashtrian, whether in the local cuisine, the dominance of the Marathi language, or the pride taken in the region's history. In the 1600s, the daring warrior king Shivaji Maharaj made Pune the thriving capital of what would become the Peshwa dynasty. In the early 1800s, the city's prominence subsided as control of the region passed to the British. At the end of that century, Pune became a center for the anti-colonial struggle, especially as fomented by nationalist and social reformer Bal Gangadhar Tilak. Since armed revolt was prohibited and impractical, Tilak, basing himself in Pune, resorted to various other strategies to unite and mobilize Indians and especially Maharashtrian Hindus. One of these strategies was the promotion of an annual festival devoted to the Hindu deity Ganesh. The progeny of Shiva and Parvati, the pot-bellied and elephant-headed Ganesh is a familiar and important Hindu deity, regarded as a remover of obstacles and a mediator between humans and the world of the divine. In parts of South India, a Ganesh statue would traditionally have a place in processions honoring Shiva, and this custom later took root in Pune. However, it acquired new vigor in the 1890s when Tilak promoted it as a celebration of modernist Hindu energy, nationalism, and social cohesion that transcended caste differences. After India gained independence in 1947, the festival's oblique association with the anti-colonial struggle evaporated, but the event went on to achieve unprecedented popularity as a vehicle for Hindu devotion, family and community activities, artistic expression, and saturnalia. The festival is celebrated throughout Maharashtra, but its epicenter remains the hinterland city of Pune. The benign and jovial Ganesh himself has acquired a particular prominence in modern Maharashtra, whether promoted by the festival, regular worship, or TV shows. Much of the activity associated with the Ganesh festival, or Ganesh Utsav, takes place in the domestic sphere, as families buy images, or murtis, of Ganesh, adorn them, and later take them to be immersed in some body of water. More visible are the public activities organized by institutions called mandals. A mandal, the same word English speakers like to pronounce mandala, is in this context a grassroots neighborhood or community organization that solicits donations from the public prior to the festival. There are several thousand mandals in Pune, large and small. Each mandal will erect a pavilion or pandal housing a Ganesh statue. On the first day of the festival, or Ganesh Chaturthi, the Ganesh statue is taken in a merry procession around the neighborhood, especially in central Pune, accompanied by a hired band of some sort. Until the 1970s, particularly popular were groups of students and others who played bass drums called dhol and struck sticks together called tibri. At present, a variety of ensembles are in vogue. 2 drummers might be engaged to play nagara, a folk and ceremonial drum pair dating from the Mughal period. Another mandal might hire a wedding-style brass band. One might also encounter an ensemble of mridangam players, such as accompany devotional songs to the local 17th century saint named Tukaram. Ensembles from other regions might also be engaged, like this group from Kerala. However, by far the most conspicuous groups are those featuring kettle drums called tasha or tasa and dhol bass drums. The tasha and dhol became popular in North India in the early 1800s, especially in the Lucknow region. By the 20th century, the drums, usually accompanied by some sort of brass cymbal, had become common throughout North India, from Calcutta to Bombay. In Pune, the drums had long been present, but it wasn't until the late 1960s that energetic innovators popularized their use among school ensembles and invented a sequence of standardized rhythms for the new bands to play. Over the next few decades, the dhol-tasha ensembles proliferated as school graduates formed amateur groups and mandals came to hire them rather than the DJs with their raucous sound systems. At present, there are well over 100 dhol-tasha groups, or pataks, which play during the festival processions. A single performing group could easily number over 100 performers. Every year, over 10,000 people in Pune alone perform in dhol-tasha pataks. The dhol-tasha groups charge the mandals fees with which they pay for instruments, transport, other necessities, and gifts to social causes. Girls and children feature prominently, and though the festival is inherently Hindu in orientation, Muslims may also join groups. The core repertoire of the pataks is a medley of 5 basic rhythms or hands that was standardized in the years around 1970. The particular forte of the tasha drum, aside from its volume, is its ability to play machine gun-like rolls. An important part of the patak is the core of members who vigorously pump flags called dhwaj. The groups come alive every year for the Ganesh festival. Several take part in competitions, especially that organized by the Sakal Times newspaper. Categories can feature soloists like these young virtuosos. The main awards, however, are for the larger pataks. Corporate sponsors like the telecommunications company Vodafone subsidize the competition and other events. Most pataks, of course, don't participate in the competitions, but rehearse on their own and then play in the streets at the first and last days of the 10-day festival period. The first day, Ganesh Chaturthi, is perhaps the best time to see the groups as they parade through the downtown streets in front of their mandal's Ganesh statue. Alongside the dhol-tasha pataks are related groups called dhol-jhanj, jhanj being the brass cymbal. Dhol-jhanj groups have dhols and a few tashas, but they are more rural and folksy in character. Their rhythms are generally simpler and more repetitive, and the emphasis is on the choreographic formations that the jhanj players execute in a spirit of fun rather than military precision. Like the dhol-tasha pataks, the groups accompany their mandal's Ganesh statue on its leisurely procession until it returns to its pandal. In the days after Ganesh Chaturthi, crowds throng to the Kaspa Ganpati temple downtown to make offerings to Ganesh. In front of the pandals, schoolgirls and others use colored powder to make designs called rangolis. On certain days, families will walk through the town to immerse their Ganesh murtis in some body of water, usually one of the two rivers passing through the city. These processions might be accompanied by dhol-jhanj bands, who may get paid for their efforts, but are mostly performing to have a good time.
आप लोग कहाँ से हैं? यानी पुणे से? पुणे। और आप किस लिए बजाते हैं और नाचते हैं? पैसे के लिए।
Many processions feature just an informal dhol-tasha group, often consisting of family members, perhaps even children. Like events at the Hindu festivals of Diwali, Holi, and Navratri, there is a religious component to the rituals, but above all they are an occasion for diversion and merriment. Upon reaching the riverbank, ritual prayers are performed before the murtis, during which a family may hire drummers, playing a drum pair called sambhar and a cylinder drum called kachi to enliven the event. The Ganesh idols are then ceremoniously dumped in the river. This ritual immersion, called visarjan, can be done by the family itself in a boat. Alternately, the immersion can be done by a swimmer who hopes that his immune system can resist the sewage that constitutes most of the effluents. Nowadays, there is much concern about further polluting the rivers with the synthetic paints and materials used to make the murtis, so many are made with organic, eco-friendly products. Environmentalists encourage families to immerse their murtis not in the rivers, but in specially constructed pools on the banks. While the immersion festivities are going on, the mandals stage their own evening entertainment throughout the city. Some feature gaudy light shows. Others might have animated dioramas like this one portraying scenes from the Ramayana. Many mandals put on amateur talent shows, perhaps with songs and dances. Several present theatrical dramatizations, whether involving Hindu mythology, reformist issues like the rights of women, or like this one, scenes from the gallant exploits of Shivaji Maharaj. Meanwhile, mobile sound systems create their own ruckus for those inclined to dance. The Ganesh festival reaches its climax on the 10th day, called Anant Chaturdasi. On this day, the dhol-tasha pataks again take to the streets, accompanying the Ganesh murtis on their final procession. For the visitor, this may not in fact be the best time to hear the pataks, as the downtown streets are crowded with as many as 1 million enthusiasts, as well as around 10,000 police trying their best to control the situation. Indeed, while Ganesh may be worshipped as the remover of obstacles, his statues and processions constitute an insurmountable barrier to anyone who is actually trying to get somewhere. But this is not a day for working or doing errands. It's a day for festive noise, color, spectacle, and the wild merriment that constitutes one of the salient features of Hindu festivals. The next day, life returns to normal. The big Ganesh statues are carted off, the bundles are dismantled, and the dhol-tasha groups largely disband for the year. However, dhol-tasha drumming is now reaching beyond the Ganesh context in different ways. One can buy CDs of the music, although the drumming is not at all oriented toward the commercial hit parade. More visibly, a number of Bollywood films have featured dhol-tasha scenes. Meanwhile, enthusiasts are proud of the music's growing international connections. And friends of the Shiv Garjan Patak have set up ensembles in Australia and New Jersey. In a different use for the music, the Maharashtrian government has found that by hiring thunderous dhol-tasha groups to play in front of the homes of tax evaders, the scofflaws can be shamed into paying the taxes they owe. The deafening volume of the ensembles has in fact become recognized as a problem, in causing hearing loss to performers, policemen, and others. Nevertheless, the dhol-tasha groups have become part of the fabric of Pune's cultural life. In an era when the mass media and commercial entertainment industries so often erode grassroots creative expression, the Ganesh festival and its drumming represent remarkable examples of the ability of Indians to create dynamic and exuberant new traditions, even as old ones die out.